Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove the drive clutch on our 2016 Polaris Ranger 900 XP. We're going to pull it off, inspect it, and discuss some running problems. So, let me go grab a couple of tools, we'll get it off, and I'll show you what to look for. Alright guys, this is going to be a skill level 2, but just barely, so don't be intimidated by it. Alright, let's go over some of the tools that you're going to need to do this. As always, a good torque wrench, a breaker bar, a pry bar, a 21 and a 22 socket, as well as this little 10 millimeter, a decent small ratchet, a 3 millimeter Allen, and most importantly, this thing. It's a special tool that you're going to have to get that drive clutch off. Now if you would, reference our exploded diagrams. It gives you a layout of where all the parts come apart and more importantly, how they go back together. So once you've got your parts together and your tools, we can go over there and I can show you how to do it. All right, we're about to remove the drive clutch. Now listen, if you need help getting your unit to this point, as far as getting the housing taken apart and getting the belt off, why don't you reference our belt change video and it'll show you how to do that. Now that we're here, we're just going to remove the driven clutch retaining bolt, and then we're going to use this special tool right here, and then we're going to pop the drive clutch right off. Alright, we're getting ready to pull this loose. What I've done is just used a pry bar. They make a special tool to do this, but I've always done this in the past, so I don't think it's going to be a problem. Used a pry bar, just going in between these 2 points, and then letting it rest against that rear A-arm. It's kind of scary when it pops loose. Makes kind of a cool clink noise. Told you it's a little unnerving. But that's the sound they make when they come off. Go ahead and take out our special tool. Alright, so we've got our old one off, and honestly it looks to be in pretty good shape. Well, how do I know it's in pretty good shape? Well, let's bring over a new one and compare it. Alright, because what's happening in there is the RPMs rise. It causes this to actually come in on it. When it does that, it forces the belt out further, and then of course increases its speed. So the reason I'm able to push this one in and out is it does not have the spring, which I have in here, nor does it have the weights that get pushed out through centrifugal force as the RPMs increase. So what I'm looking for in here is a smooth surface on both sides all the way up to the outer edges. Now if there's a bunch of grooves in there, that means it's been running in that one location a little too hard and a little too hot, and it's actually grooved into it. This one, I feel only slight grooves on it, nothing that bad. So as I said, when I took it off, it looked to be in pretty good shape, and it is. Now what would some of the running conditions be? Well, if it's got grooves cut in it, as you're going through the RPMs to accelerate it, it's going to cause your vehicle to surge and kind of lose, almost like it's losing traction, because in essence it kind of is, because it's losing it inside the sheave. So that if you've got a real jerky sensation as you're going through the acceleration curve, it's probably going to be your drive clutch, and that's one of the things you need to look for. Other thing you need to look for while you're in here is the condition of the actual shaft that pulls in on right where this spring is going to be, which is actually in this location. If all that looks smooth, you should be good to go, because when it gets worn, it'll actually start binding one way or another, and then that will also cause a surging type sensation. Now you can pull these apart and you can replace them piece by piece if you want to, but I guarantee you if you've got worn grooves here, you've got other worn areas as well. They're just hidden that you have, and you haven't uncovered them yet. So when I go to pull one of these apart and I find a bunch of problems, I make it easy on myself and just replace the whole thing, because all you have to do at this point is install your spring and your weights in a new unit from your old one, and you're going to be good to go. So that's definitely the direction I would want to go if I needed to, or if I had a running condition on my machine. Alright, as I've stated, this clutch is in good shape. It does not need to be replaced. But I'm going to go under the premise that it does need to be replaced, and I'm going to put on this entire new unit. So I'm going to walk you through the process, and I'm going to go ahead and do it even though it doesn't need to be done on this particular machine. Because I'm betting if you're watching this video, yours is in trouble. So let me go grab a couple more tools, and we'll get this one pulled apart and get the weights and the springs transferred over to the new one. Real high-tech tool we have here, just a length of a 1/2-inch threaded rod. What we're going to do with that is put it in our vise. We're just going to pass it through. Our drive clutch. Just use a regular washer. And we're going to bring this all the way down, because what we're after is we need to pull this top section. And there's a spring in there. Now, it isn't a lot of pressure, but it can be a little bit much to try to handle the top and the bottom and the spring, and get it to go down evenly. This is just a cleaner way to do it. Doesn't need to be tight, just needs to hold it in position. Okay, this is important. When they manufacture these, they're matched. So if you plan on putting it back together, you need to mark one section, because it needs to go back in the same orientation or it won't be matched up. Now we're just going to pull these 6 10mm bolts. Now we're going to leave pressure on that spring, and then this section will come off. Voila! Now they make different tensions of springs, and that'll determine when your clutches actually come in and then they release. But the Polaris is pretty much factory set this, so we want to use this exact same spring if your clutch is engaging like you want to. All right, now the other pieces that we need to get out of here are the actual weights right here. And basically it's just a pin that goes all the way through, then they'll come out one by one. They're just tightened down onto a collar, and then these are actually 10mm locking nuts. This other end is a 3mm Allen. Now on our new unit over there, it actually has new hardware, new pins and new locking nuts. All we are after is just the weight itself. All right, this is one of the 3 that we need to pull, and what I want to check here is to make sure that there isn't a lot of wear on this little pivot pin, and hence any wear on the inside of this particular weight. And it looks to be in good shape, but when we put it together using our new drive clutch over there and the new pin, we're going to put a little grease on there, give it a little advantage for lasting a little bit longer. So let me get those other 2 pulled, bring over our new clutch, and then we'll get it installed. All right, the first thing we want to do is go ahead and mark it, because it definitely needs to go back in that position. Let's go ahead and get that upper section off, and let's go ahead and get our weights in, or put those weights in. I just want to clean them off a little bit. All right, take just a little bit of grease, and I mean a very little bit, and just put it around that center section, because we do not want a bunch of grease to be thrown around inside of here, because if grease got into this section, it's not going to end very well. All right, you're basically just tightening this down until it actually bottoms out on the collar, because remember, it's going to still have some play in it. It has to have some play, because this is going to be, it has to be able to move and pivot on there. So there's no way for you to really over tighten it, but you can strip the bolt by putting too much on there. Just enough to snug it down, that's all that's required. All right, got our weights in. Now let's go ahead and get our spring installed. Where's our mark? Right over there. All right, she's bottomed out. Next, we need to torque these to 9 foot-pounds. All right, we have one more step to do before we can go reinstall it on the machine. What we need to do is clean the sheave up using a contact cleaner on both sides, and then we're going to rough it up a little bit with a Scotch-Brite pad. The reason being is I'm actually going to replace the belt, brand new clutch, and those 2 haven't been formally introduced yet. So what we need to do is go through a break-in procedure. By cleaning this up, we're removing any type of residue from the manufacturer as far as any dirt, grime, grease, any of that solution. Now, when we rough it up and we put the new belt in there, we're going to run it through a couple of heat cycles, because what will end up happening is we want to leave some of the belt material inside the sheave, because that's basically what it's going to contact against. If you take it like it is right now, install it on the machine, throw in your belt, hammer the throttle, guess what? You're just going to polish the inside and it's not going to grip the way it's supposed to. So this step is very important. So let's get this cleaned up. All right, as you can see, yeah, it had some grease on there that needed to come off. That was a very important step. Now we can take a Scotch-Brite pad, I think this is like a 320, and just go around it lightly. You just want to take some of the sheen off of it so it'll bite into that new belt. All right, it has that kind of dull brushed look, and that's exactly what I was going for. Wipe it down one more time. All right, now let's get it unbolted and mount it back on the machine. Make sure you didn't lose any of your washers or that collared one there. Get our bar back in here. And we want to torque it down to 96 foot-pounds. There it is. All right, guys, that pretty much finishes this one up. You know, again, check out that belt installation video and it'll show you how to finish this one up. Well, listen, if you need any of the parts that we use to do this, why don't you come see us at Partzilla.com and we can get you taken care of. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. Until next time, we just want to say thanks for watching.